Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment we bring to you objective questions on a daily basis to help you crack prelims. So let's begin with the practice question of last segment. Consider the following statements with reference to National Common Mobility Card (NCMC). Dubbed as One Nation One Card, the interoperable transport card would allow the holder to pay for their business travel, toll taxes, parking charges, retail shopping, and even withdraw money. This card runs on both RuPay cards and Visa card. The stored value on card supports offline transactions across all travel needs with minimal financial risk to involved stakeholders. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1 and 2 only, B, 2 and 3 only, then comes 1 and 3 only, or 1, 2 and 3. So I hope you have answered it correctly in the comment segment. The correct answer for this question is C only, 1 and 3. So let's begin with the explanation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated a full operational National Common Mobility Card services on the Airport Express line of Delhi Metro, which was started in Ahmedabad last year. Dubbed as One Nation One Card, the interoperable transport card would allow the holders to pay for their bus travel, toll taxes, parking charges, retail shopping, and even withdraw money. So as you can see, this is ease of payment from one particular source. You can pay for all these plethora of options. And also, this is a part of the Digital India scheme. We will talk about it more. So if we talk about it, the idea was floated by the Nandan Nilekani committee set up by the Reserve Bank of India. And of course, as I said, that this particular committee wants to strengthen the digital payment system, and it wants a tenfold increase in 3 years. And it was set up in the year 2019. All right. Moving on, let's talk about NCMC. That is an automatic fare collection system. It will turn smartphones into an interoperable transport card that commuters can use eventually to pay for metro, bus, and suburban railway services. This card runs on RuPay card. Moving on, the stored value on the card supports offline transactions across all travel needs with minimal financial risks to involved stakeholders. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs brought to the fore the National Common Mobility Card to enable seamless travel by different metros and other transport systems across the country besides retail shopping and purchases. Now let's see the first question for today's GK. The Sea of Galilee, recently seen in the news, is located in which of the following countries? Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Israel. The correct answer for this question is D, Israel. Moving on to the explanation. The Sea of Galilee, well known in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic lore, has swelled up due to recent rains. The lake lies in the northern Israel between the occupied Golan Heights and the Galilee region. It is fed by underground springs, but its major source is the Jordan River. The Jordan flows into the lake, Israel's largest freshwater body, and then exits it before ending in the Dead Sea, which is the saltiest and the lowest point on the planet. The lake, also known as Lake Tiberias or Kinneret, rose to 209.925 meters below sea level break. The lake, also known as Lake Tiberias or Kinneret, rose to 209.905 meters below sea level due to heavy rainfall in the surrounding areas. Water is not extracted from the Sea of Galilee, but it is considered to be an important barometer of the water situation in Israel. Barometer in the sense, if it is rising at this level, that means there is a plenty of water, abundance of water in Israel. All right. So it's a measurement for water situation in Israel. And if the water swells up further, what will happen? Israel will have to open the Degamia Dam. The Degamia Dam is going to flow the entire water, help the water to channelize into Jordan. Such a situation risen in the year 1992. Moving on, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Earth Observatory released a satellite photo showing the swelled up lake. Let's look at the next question with reference to Enforcement Directorate. Consider the following statements. It is an agency under Department of Economic Affairs. It enforces the Foreign Exchange Management Act only. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Moving on to the explanation, the ED issued orders for the attachment of several properties belonging to the former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Dr. Farooq Abdullah in connection with its investigation into alleged money laundering in the Jammu and Kashmir Cricket Association case. So what is money laundering? You must have heard a lot about it. Money laundering is a process of showing that this money, whatever money is there, has come from a legitimate source. But in actuality, that money is black money. So that is called money laundering, converting black money into white money. Alright. And it is a specialized financial investigation agency, the ED, under the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, which enforces the following laws. Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, that is the FEMA, a civil law which officers empowered to conduct investigations into suspected contraventions of the foreign exchange laws and regulations, adjudicate contraventions and impose penalties on those adjudged to have contravened the law. Prevention of Money Laundering Act of 2002, a criminal law with the officers empowered to conduct investigations to trace assets derived out of the proceeds of crime, to provisionally attach, confiscate the same, and to arrest and prosecute the offenders found to be involved in money laundering. Moving on, let's look at our next question. Which of the following Latin American countries has legalized abortion? Venezuela, Argentina, Colombia, or Ecuador? The correct answer for this question is Argentina. Moving on to the explanation, Argentina's Congress legalized abortions up to the 14th week of pregnancy in what was a groundbreaking decision in a country that has some of the world's most restrictive abortion laws. This change is historic and its implication may be witnessed beyond Argentina in Latin America at large. Prior to the passing of the bill, abortions were only permitted in cases of rape or when the woman's health was at serious risk due to the pregnancy. Activists have been campaigning for years, calling for an overturning of this law that has been in existence since 1921, because this is being seen as a regressive law in the sense that a woman does not have the right on her own body, right? That is why. And moving on, the Catholic Church and the evangelical community wield immense power and influence in Argentina and had strongly opposed the passing of this bill. In fact, for several decades, following the beliefs of the Catholic Church, even the sale of contraceptives were prohibited in the country. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following states of India: Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Bihar. Which of the states given above are a part of the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor? You have to select the correct options using code given below. 1, 2, 3, and 5 only, 2, 3, 4, and 5 only, 1, 3, 4, and 5 only, or all of the above. The correct answer for this question is A, that is 1, 2, 3, and 5 only. Moving on to the explanation, the PM of India has inaugurated a 351-kilometer section of the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor and an operational control center between Khurja and Bhopur in Uttar Pradesh. Please keep these two regions in mind, Khurja and Bhopur in Uttar Pradesh. And this is a 351-kilometer section of the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. Dedicated freight corridors, if we talk about, it is a high-speed and high-capacity railway corridor that is exclusively meant for the transportation of freight, or in other words, goods and commodities. So if we talk about the advantages of this, why do we even need a DFC? Because 70% of what is being predicted, 70% of the freight will be shifted and slated towards the DFCs, and it will open more place and more passage for the regular passenger trains. And of course, it will be time efficient and capacity efficient. Moving on, DFC involves the seamless integration for better infrastructure and state-of-the-art technology. DFC consists of two arms: Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. It starts at Sahnewal, Ludhiana in Punjab and ends in Dankuni in West Bengal. If you see the map, see, this is starting in Ludhiana and ending in Dankuni. Okay, be very careful of the states it is passing through. So it passes through Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and then last comes West Bengal. And this is the Western Freight Corridor, which goes from Uttar Pradesh, from Dadri, then comes Rajasthan, and it also in the midst passes from Haryana, and then comes Rajasthan, Gujarat, and of course then comes Mumbai. All right, moving on. The EDFC routes has coal mines, thermal power plants, and industrial cities. Feeder routes are also being made for this. So all these very heavy industries are falling through the route. That means that, of course, the raw materials, finished goods, everything will be transiting very smoothly and efficiently. It will give a boost to our economy. Also, the EDFC routes cover Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. And please keep in mind the World Bank is funding a majority of the EDFC. What if it's asked that Asian Development Bank is funding EDFC? No, World Bank is. Okay. If we talk about Western Dedicated Freight Corridor, then the other arm is the around 1500 kilometers WDFC from Dadri in Uttar Pradesh to Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust in Mumbai, touching all major ports along the way, connecting link for Eastern and Western arm. It is under the construction between Dadri and Khurja. Now, this is another statement that could be seen from the perspective of prelims. Connecting arm between Dadri and Khurja. Alright, moving on. Consider the following statements about Central Asian Flyway. It covers a large continental area of Eurasia between the Arctic and the Indian Oceans and the associated island chains. The flyway comprises several important migration routes of water birds. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. So, the correct answer for this question is C, that is both 1 and 2. India has asked Sokar Wetland Complex in Ladakh as its 42nd Ramsar site on conservation status conferred by International Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. So, if we talk about it, the Wetlands International Wetland Day, it is celebrated on 2nd of February. Alright. And it is an A1 category important bird area as per BirdLife International and a key staging site in the Central Asian Flyway. If we talk about CAF, it covers a large continental area of Eurasia between the Arctic and the Indian Oceans and the associated island chains as well. The flyway comprises several important migration routes of water birds, most of which extends from the northernmost breeding grounds in the Russian Federation from Siberia to the southernmost non-breeding grounds in Western South Asia, the Maldives, and the British Indian Ocean Territory. It covers 29 globally threatened species. And if we talk about wetlands, they are very environmentally important and they have ecological significance as well because it acts as a carbon sink. It sequesters the carbon and reduces the carbon footprint. So if we talk about this particular area, very ecologically important wetland, if we talk about very ecologically important and very environmentally needs to be sustained in the sense that wetlands are basically giving the world 2/3 of its fish harvest and they also sequester carbon. If we talk about sequestering of carbon, that means it traps the carbon in the atmosphere and also stores it. So that is why it is of huge significance, the wetlands. Alright, moving on, let's talk about our next question. Consider the following statements about the e-Sampada mobile app. It provides a single window for all services related to the allotment of residential accommodations and office space to government organizations. It is developed by the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is A, that is 1 only. Only the first statement is correct. Moving on to the explanation, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has recently launched a new web portal and mobile app that is e-Sampada. It provides a single window for all these services, including allotment for over 1 lakh government residential accommodations, office space allotment to government organization in 28 cities. This is a significant step towards promotion of e-governance to boost transparency and accountability in providing various estate services like allotment, retention, regularization, no dues, certification. e-Sampada is developed to simplify processes and bring uniformity in systems across India. This will promote ease of living for government offices and departments as all services can be availed online on a single window with a live tracking of application. Next question. Which of the following organizations has recently launched the COVID-19 vaccine market dashboard? World Health Organization, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or UNICEF? Correct answer for this question is D, that is UNICEF. Moving on to the explanation. UNICEF, as the designated COVAX procurement coordinator and procurement agent, has launched the COVID-19 vaccine market dashboard. It is an interactive tool for countries, partners, and industries to follow the developments of the rapidly evolving COVID-19 vaccine market and the efforts of the COVAX facility to ensure fair and equitable access for every country in the world. So if we talk about the significance of this particular portal, what is it doing? It is helping in coordination amongst every country in the world in order to develop vaccines, see what are the technological know-hows when it comes to vaccines, and also be very sure of the fact that vaccine poverty is not there. Yes, vaccine poverty is a concept that the poorer countries will not be able to access the vaccines because the bigger nations of the world are actually taking the entire basket of the vaccine. So this dashboard will help for that. Moving on, let's talk about the dashboard, which provides a regularly updated overview of the global research and development pipeline, projected production capacity in the sense that will the vaccines, whatever they are preparing, the number of vaccines, are they going to be enough or not, and publicly announced bilateral and multilateral deals which pertain to the vaccines. So everybody in the world knows that yes, these two countries are in any kind of agreement for vaccines. Also, reported price points will be also included there. Let's look at our next question. With reference to the zero coupon bonds, consider the following statements. These bonds are non-interest bearing and non-transferable special securities. They are recapitalization bonds issued by the central government specifically to a particular institution. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is C, that is both 1 and 2. Both the statements are correct. Moving on to the explanation. The government has used Financial Innovation Zero Coupon Bonds to recapitalize Punjab and Sindh Bank by issuing the lender of Rs 5,500 crore worth of non-interest bearing bonds valued at par. Zero coupon bonds are non-interest bearing, non-transferable special Government of India securities and they have a maturity of 10 to 15 years. These recapitalization bonds are special types of bonds which is issued by the central government specifically to any particular institution. Only those banks whosoever is specified can invest in them and nobody else. And it is non-tradable and also not transferable. Those zero coupon bonds, these bonds are different from the traditional zero coupon bonds on one account. They are being issued at par and there is no interest. In previous cases, since they were issued at discount and technically they were interest bearing as well. Let's talk about our next question. Blue flag certification recently in news is conferred by which of the following? Who gives it? Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Foundation for Environmental Education, United Nations Environmental Programme, and Central Pollution Control Board. The correct answer for this question is Foundation for Environmental Education. The Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change has virtually hoisted the international blue flags in 8 beaches across the country. Remember the names and the number as well. India secured the international blue flag certification for 8 beaches in October 2020. And if we talk about the names of the beaches, it's Shivrajpur, Dwarka, Gujarat, Khogla in Diu, Kasarkod and Padubidri in Karnataka. Also Kappad in Kerala, Rushikonda in Andhra Pradesh, Golden, Puri, Odisha, and Radhanagar, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. If we talk about this particular program, it is run by the international non-governmental non-profit organization, the Foundation for Environmental Education. Headquartered at Copenhagen, Denmark, it is an international recognition conferred on beaches that meet certain criteria for cleanliness and environmental propriety. The certification is based on 33 stringent criteria and 4 major heads: environmental education and information, bathing water quality is also there, and environment management and conservation, safety and services in the beaches as well. Let's look at our next question. Consider the following statements about the National Startup Awards 2021. It was set up by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade to reward outstanding startups and ecosystems. All startups were eligible to participate in the awards. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is A, that is 1 only. Moving on to the explanation. The Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry has invited applications for the second edition of National Startup Awards 2021. DPIIT had initiated the first ever National Startup Awards in 2019 with a view to recognize and reward outstanding startups and ecosystem enablers that are building innovative products or solutions. It is also aiming to recognize innovations focused towards indigenization of key products essential for the realization of an Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat, a flagship scheme of the Government of India to go vocal for local in the sense that after the COVID-19 induced lockdown, whatever loss has been made should be, of course, compromised by the gains, and the gains can be stimulated by the startups. So that is why this particular program is very important. Moving on, if we talk about the eligibility, the entity should be a DPIIT recognized startup. It must submit their certification of incorporation or partnership deed as well. And it must have all the applicable trade-specific registrations basically. Should not have been any default in the last 3 years. Remember the timeline. Must submit audited financial statements for the last 3 financial years. Now let's look at the practice question for our next segment. Consider the following statements about the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, Amrit Scheme. It was launched in 2015 by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. It aims to ensure universal coverage of drinking water supply and substantial improvement in treatment capacity of sewerage. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. So I hope you'll be able to answer it correctly in the comment segment. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall turn up with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.